square-to-square swing with the driver is essentially we're trying to create the exact same impact alignments as we are with our irons. The only difference that we have to be aware of with the square-to-square swing when we're hitting a driver is that with driver, most likely the ball is going to be teed up in the air. So instead of playing a shot where my club needs to be descending slightly to hit it solidly, I can hit it a little bit on the upswing. So what that means for the square-to-square swing is I'm going to play the ball in a place in my stance that allows for an upward angle of attack. Now I've got a video on ball flight that explains how ball flight works with the square-to-square swing, and it talks about why it's easier to hit a fade when the ball's teed up and easier to hit a draw when the ball's on the ground, or more likely to be a draw when the ball's on the ground if we're using this method. But I just want to talk mainly about driver in this video. When my club's swings around my body, it's taking a track. If I maintain all these angles, if I don't add wrist hinge and roll the club face open, I'm maintaining or hoping to maintain a path around my body in a circle. So as the club goes around my body, at some point on the downswing, the club's going to be traveling down and slightly out to the right. By the time my club reaches its lowest point and starts going back up, the path is going to be slightly to the left. And that's why I've got these alignment rods here to kind of simulate what's happening with the club while it's in different places on the arc. So when I hit a driver, if I want to hit a draw with the driver, and I'm using the square-to-square swing, I have to maintain the alignments that I was using at address, matching my ball position that's slightly forward. I would maintain these alignments, and to hit a draw, I'm actually going to have to exaggerate my outward path. Because in order to hit the ball on the upswing and still travel out, I have to shift my entire plane to the right. Because as we said in the ball flight video, if my plane's set up on a neutral or square line to the target, as the club's coming down, it's traveling out to the right. As it's going back up, it's traveling to the left. So if I want to hit a draw, again with my driver and the square-to-square swing, I have to shift that base plane, or that my setup plane, to the right to allow for an upward part of my swing that would still be able to produce draw spin. If I want to just take it really simple, I can hit it pretty straight or even fade it a little bit without too much work with a square-to-square swing, because I'm locking all my angles in at address, and as I come through and I get back on this part of the arc where my club's leveled out, the club face and path should be really close to pointed straight at the target. And then by the time I start going up, my path is going to go slightly to the left, so it's naturally going to want to produce a slight bit of fade. So I don't have to do anything in shifting my alignment setups when I'm hitting a driver, when I'm hitting a ball up off of a tee in order to hit a fade. If I wanted to hit a draw, I'm going to have to shift my alignment setup either with my shoulders and my hips at address to produce this outward strike, or I could even go so far as to shift my feet a little bit too, to really exaggerate this outward plane or outward path so that I can still hit up and create draw spin. So I'm going to hit a couple drivers, just kind of some half swings to give you an idea of what it would look like if I just played first a fade, kind of a natural fade, and then a draw. So my natural driver swing with square-to-square is a little bit of a fade. And I really am just trying to set up neutral with my alignment square to the target and turn my shoulders back, turn them through. So actually that one went pretty much dead straight. So that means that I hit the ball in the place of my swing where the club was square and my path wasn't too much up and it wasn't too much down. So it was kind of right in the middle for a level strike, which would work pretty well. And level strikes are generally going to launch it kind of in the mid-range. That launched at 9.6 degrees. If I swing up at it a little bit more, I might launch it a little bit higher. If I swing down at it a little bit more, I'm going to launch it a little bit lower most likely. So that was my normal straight shot. If I wanted to hit a draw, then I have to shift my plane this way. So I've got to do this on the simulator. I've got to set this up so that it knows that I'm going to hit a draw. So basically I move the center of my fairway, or the center of my target, to the left. So now my plane or my stance line is set up right of the target. So now I can swing to the right, or swing on this outward angle, and because my face is pointed relatively straight, I'm going to hit a draw. So again, my stance line is lined up to the right of my target, and my path is going to be exaggerated kind of out and up in order to get the draw spin on this. And again, that's just kind of a half swing to show you what I'm hoping to get out of this. But there's a ball that starts straight and curves left because my path was a little bit to the right of where my club face was pointed. So that's basically it with the driver. We really don't have to do anything different. We just have to be aware of where the ball is in our stance and the types of shots that are naturally going to come about when the ball's in that place. And if you haven't seen the ball flight video, the square-to-square swing ball flight video, check that out, because that will really illuminate some of these concepts that we were just kind of brushing over in this video. And if you haven't gotten the ebook, grab that, because each chapter is going to be outlined, so with some swing keys for each chapter.